What is going on, trainers? Drumvillain here, bringing you some more Pokemon Go PvP content, and today we're taking a look at a Great League Remix team. Now, Remix Cup's been here for a couple of days now, and this Remix Cup, Niantic have said that the ban list, so in Remix Cup, the top 20 most used Pokemon by trainers of Ace rank and above have been banned from competition. This includes most of your popular hard hitters and most meta picks like Azumarill, Galarian, Stunfisk, Altaria, Umbreon. So it shakes up the meta quite a lot, makes for quite an interesting play because some of the main counters to some other very strong Pokemon are no longer present, so it gives a lot of other Pokemon a good chance to shine and creates an entirely new experience if you want to take part in it. Obviously Great League, regular Great League is still here running alongside if you don't want to invest in new Pokemon for Remix. So the team we're running with, and we've been running this since Great League Remix started a couple of days ago, and that is Shadow Nidoqueen in the lead. Since Poison Jab got a buff at the beginning of the season, Nidoqueen's become quite a meta pick in Great League in general, and in the Remix Cup meta, it only generally makes it stronger. It just has to watch out for Diggersby, which are fairly common and does shut down Nidoqueen quite well. On the safe swap, we've got Sableye, and this is a Purified XL Sableye. It's not quite maxed out to 1500, I just need about 30 more XL candies, but this thing is already pretty big in XL, and that's running Shadow Claw, Return and Foul Play. Obviously Return you can only get on a Purified Sableye, and then in the back we've got Mandibuzz, which is again a very strong pick in Great League in general, and is even stronger in Remix, especially without Azumarill around to shut it down. And that's running Snarl, Aerial Ace and Dark Pulse. You can also run Air Slash as the fast move. You can run Foul Play instead of Dark Pulse. I don't recommend you run Shadow Ball because the dark moves give you better coverage and stab. Now, we did actually hit Expert rank on Go Battle Night. On Sunday night, we were spamming out Master League battles, and with the team that I showcased in the last video with Dragontail Groudon in lead, we actually managed to hit Expert rank, but I wasn't recording my battles because I was trying to get through them as fast as possible. So obviously it's a lot of matches, and especially if you're playing Master League, those matches can drag on quite long, so it's tough to get through all 100 battles. But currently I'm at around 2900 ELO rating, so closing in on Legend rank running this team. But these battles are taken from my first few sets of Great League Remix, so they're at around the 2750 up towards 2800 kind of ELO rating. I did a few sets around there, and then over the last day I've continued to climb with this team. Now, my initial thought when I built this team was that the darks would be quite strong, especially Mandibuzz and Sableye, so I figured that I would run into a lot of Charmers that are there to counter the dark types. So I decided to do an ABB team lineup with Nidoqueen as a hard punish to Charmers in the lead. Sableye can potentially bait out those Charmers, and then Mandibuzz is pretty free to sweep a lot of other Pokemon in the back. So without any further ado, let's jump into some battles and see how we did get on. Now, all these battles are from the first day of battles, but they are a little jumbled up in order, so these won't be from back-to-back sets. Apart from maybe these first five, I think these first five might be back-to-back matches, and then the rest are kind of shuffled up a little bit. So in this first matchup, we pull a Frostlass lead, and Frostlass is a pretty good core breaker for this team. The Avalanche and Powder Snow do super effective damage against Nidoqueen, it resists the poison moves, and also Mandibuzz struggles against Frostlass as well. And Sableye can do well, but they kind of go toe-to-toe because they get to charge moves at the same pace, but Frostlass wins CMP tie. So generally Frostlass is bad news as a lead. And we swap into Sableye, and we bait out, well, we don't bait out a Diggersby, but they swap into Diggersby to punish our Sableye. Diggersby does fairly well against Sableye, but we're able to get a shield out of them because what we're hoping to do is farm up enough energy with Mandibuzz so that we can threaten this Frostlass with Dark Pulses. And they swap out to Sableye, which Mandibuzz also does well against, but Nidoqueen does better against Sableye than it does against Frostlass, so we decide we're better off spending Nidoqueen here, chucking it in. We absorb a boatload of energy from the Sableye as it throws a return at us, So now the Sableye is weakened, we can bring in Mandibuzz and we will be able to take out this Sableye with just one Dark Pulse. So we charge up to a lot of energy because we need energy lead on Frostlass. At this health range, one Avalanche will KO us. So we need to make sure we can get to 2 Dark Pulses before they get to 2 Avalanches. So throw the first one, we get the shield, that's brilliant. And now we're just hoping they haven't got 2 Avalanches back to back. We don't think they should have. We're pretty sure they haven't got that much energy yet. And this Dark Pulse should take out Frostlass. It is pretty squishy. And Dark Pulse is decent damage. It's a little bit more energy than Foul Play, but also it does more damage. It's slightly more energy efficient than Foul Play. So in long drawn out matchups, it can make a little bit of difference and you'll get slightly more bang for your buck out of Dark Pulse. And Mandibuzz does very well against Diggersby. Now that the Frostlass is out of the way, so that's going to be a GG. Now, another benefit of running Nidoqueen on lead is that Nidoqueen also does well against counter users because it resists the fighting damage, which really puts a lot of pressure onto those fighters because like Shadow Machamp is very strong in most matchups, but if that counter damage is resisted and those cross chops and rock slides are resisted, there's a lot less pressure for him to force shields out of you. So Nidoqueen comfortably wins that matchup, so they're forced to swap out to Jellicent, and Sableye does very good at shutting down Jellicent. And the XL Sableye, as you can see, can tank Shadow Balls like no issue. You can comfortably take a Shadow Ball and get to more than one Foul Play to take out the Jellicent if they do choose to drop a shield, so you can really put a lot of pressure on with that. And the opponent has a Victreebel in back, which is really good for us because Mandibuzz walls off that Razor Leaf damage really nicely. So this is pretty much a GG for us at this point because we're going to be able to get rid of this Machamp comfortably. We're not going to bother shielding this. Nidoqueen's done its job. Mandibuzz can finish off this Machamp if needs be, but it's just a cross chop. So now we can debuff the Victreebel and make this even more of a secure win for us. But yeah, this is a pretty straight, but it's by the numbers matchup, isn't it really? We just win by team comp. Really there, we had the right counters for their Pokemon, but a GG all the same. Up now against a legend ranked player, Zack Attack, and they lead a Zapdos. Zapdos is very spicy for Remix Cup. It's spicy in Great League in general. But the good thing about this matchup is that we're resisting the electric damage, and we knew they'd only thrown 5 Thunder Shocks, so we knew it had to be a Drill Peck, and Zapdos doesn't have access to any other moves that aren't double resisted on Nidoqueen, so we're able to just let that Drill Peck go through. We are a Shadow, and Zapdos is very attack weighted, but we can comfortably take 1 Drill Peck. So we choose to farm down, and they swap out aggressively into a Lickitung. So we're going to throw the Earth Power, pressure a shield or big damage. It goes through, takes out half of Lickitung's health, which is really nice for us. And now we can bring in Mandibuzz safely. Mandibuzz double resists the lick damage, which is amazing because a lot of the pressure from dealing with Pokemon like Snorlax or Lickitung is that the lick damage adds up over time. And look how bulky it is. It takes that Dark Pulse like it's nothing. So we're just going to go ahead and throw Aerial Ace now. It might not quite knock it out. No, it does. So we're in a really strong position now because the Zapdos is pretty much dead. Although we might have to take a move here. This could be a Thunderbolt. Choose to let it go. Oh, it's a Drill Peck. No worries there. And they bring in a Diggersby, which we're kind of happy to see, but also kind of not because our Mandibuzz is pretty spent here. So we choose to swap in Nidoqueen, and we decided that either they get greedy for energy and we get to debuff their defense, or they'd have to throw straight away. And so we take a Fire Punch worth of energy out of the Diggersby, so we're not complaining too much at that outcome. And we're not going to shield Mandibuzz, we're just going to put in the work that we can here, and then hope that Sableye can just sweep this end game. Hopefully. Like I said, Diggersby does well because it's double resisting the Shadow Claw damage because it's part normal type. But with this much of a health advantage, Sableye should be able to mop up this match as long as they don't catch a Foul Play on Zapdos, and they countered well. They did swap the second we got to Foul Play, but we're going to build up to 2 before we throw anyway. So we're not feeling too much pressure. We let the Earthquake through, which is kind of scary, but we have enough energy. The opponent realises they can't win and surrenders, and that's going to be a GG. Jumping straight into the next matchup, and we get a Ninetales lead. Now, I wasn't really sure what to do with this matchup, so I decided I would stay in with Nidoqueen maybe build up to Earth Power before throwing a Poison Fang. No, we throw one early, but maybe they'll think we snuck an extra Poison Jab through. They'll probably shield. Yeah, I mean, Ninetales is relatively squishy in the Great League, and we're able to get to the second Poison Fang pretty quickly, and we're going to let this go through now. We're not super stressed. We know that we can farm down this health with either Sableye or Mandibuzz. It doesn't actually KO, which I was a little surprised by, and they bring in a Cresselia, and we're going to swap in Sableye here. We're not going to let Nidoqueen get farmed down, because those Moonblasts are going to hurt Sableye and Mandibuzz pretty steeply. So we figure we'll bring in Sableye, we can tank one Moonblast, get off a couple of foul plays, put some pressure on. They actually beat us to this move, and I think we choose to let, yeah, we're going to let Sableye go down here and then farm down the Cresselia with Mandibuzz. So they've got Ninetales with a very small amount of health, and this could be, we'll let this go, I think this might be a Moonblast, yeah. Ooh, that's kind of an unfortunate call. It'd have been nice if it was a Grass Knot, but that Moonblast does a big chunk to Mandibuzz's health there, and they bring in the Ninetales, and we figure, well, there was a little bit of a misjudgment there. We wanted to potentially pressure them to throw by swapping in Nidoqueen, but they're able to farm us down, which gives them a lot more energy to dump into Mandibuzz, and they've got a Roserade in back, and I felt a pang of hope because I thought I'd thrown the match here, but when I saw Roserade I was like, oh brilliant, we can probably survive one Weather Ball, and we've got quite a bit of energy to get to 2 Aerial Aces if it takes 2. I wasn't sure if, I mean, Aerial Ace is a terrible move, but I wasn't sure if it would still be able to kill Roserade because it's so squishy, and it does massive damage, but it's not quite enough. So we can just get to the next one, throw this, and it'll take out the Roserade, and I think the Ninetales doesn't have any energy left, so we can farm down. Yep, that's a GG. Now that's the end of the first set, and we were able to go 4 wins and a tie, which obviously counts as a loss for both players, which is kind of harsh, but I understand why they do it, because otherwise people might find a way to cheese the system a little if both players could get a win for a tie. But still, I never mind too much getting a tie. It never feels as bad as a loss. This next matchup I teased at the start of the video, and it's against Toretto Master. If you don't know Toretto Master, he's a Spanish content creator, and he's on around 160,000 subscribers. Brilliant content, brilliant battler, and we have a great match here. So as you can see, I hard lose lead with Diggersby up against my Nidoqueen, swapping to Sableye, we're hard punished with a Wigglytuff, and you might think, well that's it. Such a bad lead and such a bad counter swap, you must be going to lose this match. And just wait and see what happens in this battle. So we're going to shield the Ice Beam, and we're going to farm this Wigglytuff down for a lot of energy. And this is great because with energy, Nidoqueen can threaten Diggersby. But we go for a bait, the Poison Fang bait, and he doesn't fall for the bait. He lets it through, so we're like, right, we're just going to throw the Earth Power, and he shields the Earth Power. So now we're absolutely sweating it because we've just dumped a lot of energy on Nidoqueen, and it's pretty much all gone to waste because he's shielded the Earth Power. But we figure we're going to get to this move and throw it straight away on Diggersby before they potentially swap out and clear the defense debuff that the Poison Fang did put on Diggersby, and they've got a Sableye in back. So the double dark in back strategy did work here because we pulled out the Wigglytuff that was in back that could have easily swept Sableye and Mandibuzz, and we're able to get rid of that, and now he has 2 Pokemon that both struggle with Mandibuzz. So now it's a question of, can Mandibuzz sweep both Sableye and Diggersby? Now Diggersby's getting a little bit low because we managed to get a Dark Pulse off on it while it was debuffed, but now it's not going to go down to 1 charge move. 1 Dark Pulse does about 1/3 to Diggersby, and you can see he's got just below half health. So we figure we might as well go for an Aerial Ace, because we're going to have to throw at least 2 charge moves. An Aerial Ace is a little bit less energy. No, we're going to throw the Dark Pulse, okay. We actually have the energy for 2 Dark Pulses. They're very close in energy cost. So, oh no, okay, Dark Pulse and an Aerial Ace. But either way, it's going to be enough damage. We're going to take the win there. Mandibuzz sweeping with an awful lead, an awful counter. GG's. Shout out to Toretto Master. So, moving on to the next matchup, and we get the Shadow Machamp lead, and this is brilliant, like we've said, for Nidoqueen because you're resisting the fighting moves, and they swap into their own Nidoqueen, and I decide to build up to Earth Power and bait with Poison Fang, This could be a mistake. If they call the bait here, we could be in big trouble. And we swap straight to Sableye. And we're hoping we've caught a Poison Fang. Well, we still should because we were afraid we'd caught an Earth Power. So we're not really in a better position here for this because now we're debuffed from the Poison Fang. The Nidoqueen had a big energy lead. We eat an Earth Power and it absolutely annihilates us. So now we're on the back foot because we've lost switch advantage. This Nidoqueen is still, we know this is a Poison Fang, so we can let it go through. But we're not looking good. Just because we should have, if we committed to staying in and baiting with Nidoqueen, we should have stayed in with Nidoqueen. If we were going to swap to Sableye, we should have done it as soon as they swapped. And they swap into Machamp, and we're going to swap out to Mandibuzz just to clear the defense debuff on our Nidoqueen. We were getting pretty low, and this is a Shadow Machamp, and we are running Shadow Nidoqueen, so the counters would really then start to add up. So we figure swap straight into Mandibuzz, and they're staying in, which implies they might be quite weak to Mandibuzz in the back, but it turns out it's a Registeel, and it's a real shame that we throw this Aerial Ace. They do catch it, which is really unfortunate for us, because Dark Pulse does a decent chunk to Registeel. Now we're going to have to shield this because whatever move it is would KOs at this point, and we're probably not going to be able to get to 2 Earth Powers. I think we're going to throw a Poison Fang, hope they shield, and then hope we can get to an Earth Power. This is going to be super close, and we're not quite. I mean, it must be like one turn, must be one lock-on difference there, but it's going to take us out, and that's going to be their win. It's going to be a GG. A closer matchup than it looked, because if we'd have got to the Earth Power, we'd have taken out the Reggie, and then we could have found down the Machamp. So a very, very close match despite that terrible call. In this matchup, we got a Shiftry lead, and Shiftry is a very good lead for Nidoqueen. Look at how much damage that Poison Jab's doing. It's absolutely melting Shiftry, and we can take a Leaf Blade, so we decide that we're going to, and they swap out to Whiscash. And Mandibuzz is a great answer to Whiscash in general, but we swapped to Sableye because this was earlier on in our sets, and we weren't fully aware of it. We were scared of the Blizzard, but Mandibuzz can tank a Blizzard, no worries, from a Whiscash. Whiscash has to land 2 Blizzards to knock out Mandibuzz, which is insane, whereas the Mud Bombs do a substantial chunk of damage to a Sableye, so it's much more threatening. So realistically we should, if someone swaps in a Whiscash against you with this team, swap into Mandibuzz. We're able to get to this foul play against Shiftry, which is brilliant because it's going to do decent chunk of damage. Shiftry is very squishy. So now we've got shield advantage, and I think we're going to bring in Mandibuzz. Yeah, Mandibuzz resists everything that Shiftry is going to throw, unless it has Hurricane. But you're not going to see many Shiftrys running Hurricane, but be aware it can have it, and it will hit pretty damn hard if it does land. We're just going to keep eating these Leaf Blades. I think we'll throw an Aerial Ace before they get to another move, because we can't really farm down with Snarl. If you did choose to run Air Slash on your Mandibuzz as the fast move, you'd be in a better position there for farming down, but I personally like the energy generation that Snarl offers. So, they've come in with a Nidoqueen that's in back, and we're feeling pretty confident with this. We've still got 2 shields, so we're going to shield the Poison Fang, swap out to our Nidoqueen, make them throw more energy, just to clear that debuff once off on Mandibuzz, and then all we got to do is get to 2 Dark Pulses, I think. Maybe a Dark Pulse and an Aerial Ace and knock out this Nidoqueen. It is not Shadow, but we got to take a Poison Fang. Oh, no, I think we've lost this match. And we figured they were going to get to 2, so we had to let the first one go and then shield the second one. But we're going to get farmed down anyway, so that's going to be a GG. I don't know if we could have won that matchup. We felt like we're in a strong position, but Nidoqueen can put in a lot of work. Now, a Whiscash lead is bad news in general, but you've got 2 solid answers. Sableye does okay against Whiscash, especially as a safe swap, and Mandibuzz does very well against it. And our Sableye is met with a Tropius, and Nidoqueen does very well against Tropius because of the poison damage, absolutely shreds the grass. It can do decent damage with Air Slash and landing those Leaf Blades, but Nidoqueen generally is pretty comfortable in that matchup. And we are going to get to another foul play here, so if they choose not to shield this, we're going to get switch and shield advantage. So they do shield, so now we've got 2 shields to none, but we don't have switch advantage. But a good thing about Nidoqueen is that it can put in a lot of work in its worst matchups once shields are down. So we're just going to let these Leaf Blades go through, because we figure we've lost Switch anyway. So we're not too stressed, we're just hoping Mandibuzz with 2 shields can sweep, and they've got a Sableye in back. So again, well, this team didn't actually have that good of a answer to Mandibuzz. Whiscash, Tropius and Sableye all struggle against Mandibuzz. So I guess if they run into it, they just grind it down with the whole team. But me being in this position where I'm just left with Mandibuzz and 2 shield advantage, I'm going to be able to sweep this match pretty comfortably actually. We can fire down the Sableye for more energy, and then we're just going to Aerial Ace the hell out of Tropius. We're going to use the shields here because Sableye's charge moves and potential return would hit a lot harder than anything Tropius or Whiscash is going to throw. We swap into Nidoqueen and we can actually get to a Poison Fang, which is going to make this an even stronger matchup just because our charge moves are going to hit even harder. And if you need convincing that Mandibuzz can take a Blizzard, watch this, bang, look at that. I mean, we get pretty low because we'd already had a decent amount of work done on us by the Sableye, but it works out. We're able to survive, get to 2 charge moves. We're going to take this thing out, and that's going to be a GG. A little close. I was thinking they still had Tropius in the back, not Whiscash. But either way, it worked out pretty well for us there. Up now against I-Chan, and we've got a Victreebel lead. And you'd think this is a really good matchup for Nidoqueen, but look at that Razor Leaf damage. It is shredding us faster than we're shredding it. But once we get the Poison Fang debuff, which they obviously will shield because it will just take them out, the damage does start to add up a little bit. Now we're not going to shield this because we can't win Switch here. And we're just going to farm down, maybe with Mandibuzz, yeah. We can get quite a bit of energy out of this Victreebel. And with shield advantage, Mandibuzz can do quite well. And they've got an Obstagoon in back. So we're glad we brought in Mandibuzz because we definitely want to see this up against Mandibuzz and not up against Sableye, because Obstagoon walls off the Ghost and the Dark damage really well, whereas Mandibuzz can just spam Aerial Ace, chip it down, and then we're going to hope that Sableye can sweep whatever Pokemon they've got in back. I'm kind of expecting a Mandibuzz hard counter in back, but also they brought in Obstagoon here, so maybe not. We're just hoping that whatever it is isn't going to be resisting the foul play from Sableye, really is what we're hoping for. We figure we can get 1 more Aerial Ace off, but they actually catch on, what was it they swapped in there? Oh, it was a Golbat. Oh, this is kind of scary actually, because the wing attack damage from Golbat just chunks away. We know we can let this go, it's a Poison Fang, they only threw 5 or 6 wing attacks. That's all they had energy for. Now we might have to shield a second Poison Fang here, because we're just getting low. The wing attacks are really adding up, we're already debuffed. Yeah, so we're going to shield this, throw the foul play, and then hope that we can just... Oh, we're actually able to farm down, that makes a lot more sense, and then we can just dump a return. It's slight overkill, but it will do the job into this Obstagoon, and that's going to be a GG. Now, if I do sound quiet in this video, guys, I am recording quite late at night, so I apologise if I'm not as energetic as I sometimes am, but you know, gotta respect the neighbours and all that. Now, Dewgong lead. Now, generally this team just struggles with ice leads, because the ice damage is super effective against Nidoqueen and Mandibuzz, so we can't really swap out, because then if they save the Dewgong, it could potentially sweep both our Pokemon in the back. So our other plan is we're just going to stay in here with Nidoqueen and just put in all the work that we can, and then get it low enough so we can just farm it down with Sableye after if we do lose Switch, which we're going to here. We're not going to go down 2 shields. It's not worth it. We're just going to let this go now. Bring in the Sableye, just get rid of that last Shadow Claw hit, and they've got a Mandibuzz in back. So we're not really sure what to expect them to have in back. We're swapping our Mandibuzz hoping to catch a move, and they've got Drifblim. Now, this could go well. Drifblim struggles against both Sableye and Mandibuzz, because although Drifblim has access to Icy Wind, Mandibuzz is so tanky, it can just take them like nobody's business. Look at that. It doesn't really look super effective, does it, to be honest? And because Drifblim's so squishy in Great League compared to the Ultra League, it's going to take big damage from these Dark Pulses, even though we're getting debuffed. And I think it might actually backfire here, because if I remember this rightly, we can land this Dark Pulse, and then we might be able to farm down. I'm not 100% sure. Well, it puts it into farm range, kind of. So I'd swap out to Sableye, they swap out to their Mandibuzz. We've got a lot of energy, so we're going to hit him with one return. And it's whether or not we can get to a second return. A second return might not quite KO it, it'll be close. But it's not looking super likely that we're going to make it. It's going to be close. Showed the foul play. We're chipping away now. They had two ready. The Mandibuzz generates energy kind of at mad speed, and it's not even going to take us out. Actually, we can make it to the return. So it's will this KO the Mandibuzz? It does. That was a visual glitch there, and we swap out to Mandibuzz, and we're going to eat an Icy Wind that's going to knock us out, and then hopefully Sableye can farm down. It's going to be close. No, we tie. That's two ties in this video. Some people say they never see ties in GBL, and we had two in our first day of Great League Remakes, which is kind of nuts. Now, this was interesting because I'd heard that Darmanitan had play in this meta, but this was the only one I saw, and they swap out from Nidoqueen and bring in a Dewgong, so we're going to swap out into Sableye after we debuff, just to lower the defense a little bit, offset the fact that they're going to be able to debuff us by at least one stage, so that this foul play is going to risk big damage, and potentially, I don't think it'll KO if it goes unshielded, but it'll get him pretty low. We did build up quite close to the return, hoping to get a shield out of them, but we don't. And I think we're going to let this go, because we figure that well, we actually forgot the moveset of Darmanitan, so we'd underestimated how bad it was that it can get lined up with Mandibuzz. Because Darmanitan can learn Rock Slide, which, you know, it'll hit Mandibuzz pretty hard, but their other answer in the back is actually a Bomber Snow, which isn't a good answer to Nidoqueen at all. So we're going to be able to put some serious work in against this thing. And they swap out to Darmanitan and they catch a Poison Fang, which they shield anyway, and now we're going to be able to bring in Mandibuzz. This thing's already debuffed, so we're not super stressed out about this. We're going to shield. Yeah, we figure it's going to be a pretty hard hitting move either way. And we're just going to go ahead and throw this Dark Pulse, which should... Darmanitan's really squishy. Yeah, I think that would have taken them out without the debuff. And we should be able to survive a Weather Ball really comfortably, get to an Aerial Ace, take out this Abomasnow, and that's going to be a GG. So I think Darmanitan has play, but it'll struggle with Diggersby, and I think it struggles with Nidoqueen, as well as it probably would struggle against Sableye, just because the Shadow Claw damage would add up so much. Up against another Legend ranked trainer, and we've got a Whiscash lead again, and like we said, this is not really a good lead for us. We swap into Sableye, we're punished with a Mandibuzz, and again, this is not a good punish. Like, it really... Sableye struggles against Mandibuzz. XL Sableye does a little better just because it can tank the moves a little better, but when it's an Air Slash Mandibuzz, you still can't take two foul plays. I think if it's a Snarl Mandibuzz, you can take two foul plays with an XL Sableye, but when it's Air Slash, that extra damage from the fast move does add up. But we are able to get to an extra foul play because they get greedy for the farm down, and this is big because it gets the Mandibuzz pretty low, so we can comfortably farm down with Nidoqueen. We know we've lost Switch, so we're going to farm it down completely and then have a little bit of energy ready to dump towards this Whiscash. Swap out to Mandibuzz straight away, and they've got Tropius in the back, and Tropius, as we know, is not a particularly good answer to Mandibuzz because we resist the grass moves. Tropius is bulky, but Mandibuzz is bulkier, and we got much better energy generation than the Tropius has got, so we're just going to be able to out-spam this thing. And look at that, I mean, Aerial Ace is, like I said, it's a trash move, but it does a nice chunk there. But this Tropius is going to start putting in work. It's going to get us relatively low, but they are down 2 shields, so it's probably worth shielding this and just making sure that the Whiscash has to put some work in to Mandibuzz to get rid of it. We're going with Nidoqueen, and we really should have thrown the Poison Fang, but we wanted to threaten the Earth Power. No, we decided we're going to get it off. So Whiscash spams Mud Bombs pretty fast, so we throw... You might think, oh, he could have thrown a Poison Fang and Mud Bomb, maybe, but we decide we're just gonna... Well, they get greedy for energy, they realise they need the energy for a Blizzard to beat Mandibuzz. We get to a Poison Fang, it's enough to take them out, and we take the win. GG. We got a couple of battles left in this video for you guys, and Obstagoon lead is similar to Machamp. You resist in the counter damage. The Night Slash you can comfortably take, I think you might be able to take 2 on Nidoqueen, even on Shadow Nidoqueen maybe, before you risk being KO'd. I think if you take 2 Night Slashes they can farm you down with counter, but we figure you get to the Poison Fang at the same time they get to Night Slashes and you win CMP tie with Nidoqueen, so you're generally in a good position because they have to commit shields first, which is always the ideal situation because now we can shield up and farm them down, but they swap out straight away to an Alolan Grimer. So we're going to go ahead and debuff it with a Poison Fang, build a bit of energy and then swap out. And I don't know if Sableye was the best shout. We figured they were using Poison Jab as a fast move, so at least we're resisting that if we bring in Sableye. You have access to Crunch, which I didn't know Alolan Grimer's moveset, but we can still take that fairly well, and we can farm them down with Shadow Claw after hitting them with a Foul Play, which is nice. Obstagoon comes back in, so maybe they were hoping to catch something like a Sableye with Obstagoon. Maybe they're weak to Dark in the back, we'll see, but it's a Wigglytuff. That's kinda scary for us because our Nidoqueen's so low, but we're able to just get to a Poison Fang. And they're obviously going to shield this because this do massive damage. But the good news with this is that it debuffs the Wigglytuff's defense. So now I think we can, yeah, because Mandibuzz is so tanky, it can tank enough charms to get to 2 Aerial Aces. And it's a debuffed Wigglytuff. So these 2 Aerial Aces should be enough to take it out and give us the win. And that's going to be a GG. Mandibuzz is a Wigglytuff counter. Confirmed. Was a little nervous when I saw that Wigglytuff, not gonna lie, but Mandibuzz is a thick girl and can put in the work. Now, Diggersby lead, this is awful for Nidoqueen. Really, you wanna swap out to Sableye, I think. Sableye and Nidoqueen both lose to Diggersby, so you can't swap in Mandibuzz because that's your hard counter. And we figure we'll swap into Sableye, pressure them to swap, and they swap into Frostlass, which isn't really any better. Frostlass really messes up our team as well. The only advantage is that we have energy advantage, so that we can dump 2 Foul Plays into this thing and either get switch advantage or get shields. And we're just hoping that with Frostlass out of the way, we're hoping maybe Mandibuzz can sweep. It's done pretty well for us so far, but I'm not super optimistic because we might as well bring in Nidoqueen here, because Nidoqueen's going to get shut down by Diggersby anyway. We're just going to absorb all this energy and get absolutely smashed to pieces, and we're going to farm down with Mandibuzz, shield this Avalanche and hope for the best. But really it's not looking that good right now. Let's just see what their last Pokemon is. They bring in Diggersby again, and we can definitely win this matchup because we've got such an energy advantage, and without shields, the Fire Punch spam is not going to be able to keep pace with this Dark Pulse damage. Although, it doesn't... You see, Diggersby's pretty tanky. This might be an XL Diggersby. I find it hard to tell the difference. I'm not used to playing XL, like against XL Pokemon, quite yet. So I can find it difficult to tell if a Pokemon's been XL'd or not. But I think that Diggersby's bulky enough, it could be an XL. And we're able to take them out. Let's see what they got in back. It's a Cresselia, which would be good for us, but we don't have enough energy. We'll be able to hit them with 1 Dark Pulse, which will do a big chunk, but we need to get to 2. And they'll be able to get to a Moonblast and finish us off here, and that's going to be a good game. If we'd have swapped out to Sableye immediately at the start, we might have been in a better position, we might not have. It's hard to tell. We were pretty hard done by in that matchup. We struggled with Frostlass, and we had a bad lead. So let's jump into this last matchup before I leave you guys, and we get a Mandibuzz lead. And if you get a Mandibuzz lead with Nidoqueen, you want to stay in. Sableye struggles with Mandibuzz, and Mandibuzz of our own just goes toe to toe with it. Whereas our Nidoqueen can tank 1 Foul Play or Dark Pulse or Shadow Ball, whichever they have and throw. They can obviously take a Poison Fang, but then the second one will get them pretty low, so I tend to like to stay in. They swap into a Munchlax. So our plan is to debuff with Poison Fang and then swap into our own Mandibuzz because we resist the lick damage. And now that their defense has been dropped, they're not going to be able to resist these Dark Pulses half as much. They're going to hit a lot harder, and we're going to be able to get this thing out of here quite a bit quicker. See, the Body Slam spam is real from Munchlax, it is chipping away, but without that lick damage to accent it, it's really not enough to make us feel threatened. In fact, I think we're going to build up extra now. I thought we were going to build up even more energy and take another Body Slam, but we decided to throw, get this thing out of here, which is nice. To bring in their own Mandibuzz, which makes me feel like they don't have another answer to a Dark type. So maybe they don't have an answer to Sableye. So I'm feeling pretty hopeful at this point, because I figure these two Mandibuzzes, if you've ever seen Mandibuzzes go at each other from full health, it is a long matchup. It's like watching two Cruselias in Ultra League just moonblast the crap out of each other for 2 minutes. I should really have sped this up even faster than it already is, but you can get a gauge on just how drawn out this matchup can be. We're not quite able to get farmed down, which is pretty nice for us. If they shield this, then we're looking even better. They do, so they're gonna farm us down, which is not too big of a deal. Bring in Nidoqueen. We might shield this. Yeah, we're going to shield this just to get possibly a little bit more damage off, or just to make them dump more energy. But we're going to let this go through because we figure we can just Shadow Claw down now. With Sableye, they've got a Cresselia in back. They know they can't win. The opponent surrenders, and that's going to be a good game. Now I'm going to leave you guys with this last matchup. Let me know how you guys are getting on in Great League Remix. You got any team suggestions, any Pokemon that are shining through particularly well for you? Let me know if you try this team out, if it's working for you. Like I said, I'm currently climbing. I'm at around 2900 as of right now, just running this team. So I'm hoping I might be able to hit Legend with it. And if I do, obviously, I'll be bringing you guys the lowdown, showing you the battles and everything. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed the content. If you're already subscribed, you're an absolute legend, and I will catch you guys next time.